graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
I'm not trying to make jokes about Jesus, though. I saw the movies. I read the Bible. He's always on the cross at the end, crucifixion. There's always 30 or 40 Christians standing around going, it's a shame that he has to die. And Jesus is always going, well, maybe I wouldn't have to, so I get a ladder and a pair of pliers. But the Bible said you're supposed to die. Oh, buy the book! Buy the book!
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show, and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And this is take 2 for the 5-year anniversary episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast. For those watching at home, they got to watch me fuck up and kick the table and lose all kind of steam in the episode. But here we are. I can't believe, and we were just like, right now, I said, Paul, when was the first episode you were on? And your first episode was August 14th, the day before my daughter's birthday, 2013. So in a couple of months, you would have been on the show 3 years, 4 years? 3 years?
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with
3 years. This show has been on for 5 years. And, you know, I always wanted to say, like, do you remember, like, in Fight Club, the movie Fight Club, like, not when they're doing...
First rule of Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club.
Well, and that's the whole thing, when they're doing Project Mayhem, there's a part, when they're doing the second project, and he makes the people stand outside, and it's like, if you stand outside for, like, a week with, like, no food, and no encouragement, and then, like, he's hitting them with broomsticks and stuff like that, like, if you're tenacious enough, or if you're hard-headed enough, or stubborn enough to keep doing something 5 years later, and it's not like I've become like a big giant internet celebrity. It's not like, you know, I mean, I've had my little taste of celebrity here and there, and you know, the podcast has definitely got us in contact with some really cool and interesting people that I would never have spoken to if it wasn't for the podcast. This podcast has probably saved God knows how many lives, you know, from you know, look, I'd be the fucking Facebook shooter if this fucking podcast didn't exist. I'd be fucking shooting people and uploading it on Facebook and driving around. If I didn't have the fucking podcast therapy of sitting and having a reason to get out of my house and having, you know, something to do and something to look forward to, I probably would have fucking hurt somebody by now. So, you know, it's good that this podcast exists, and I can't believe that I've been doing it for 5 years. And part of the things I said, I what I wanted to do, and this was a bit of a surprise, I said I wanted to go back and look at what things were like 5 years ago and how much things have changed. Now, 5 years ago, we started the podcast. When this comes out, I don't know exactly what day we're going to put it out, but our first episode, or the first episode of this podcast, was April 20th, 2012. 2012, the year we all thought the world was going to die. You know, the Mayan calendar said we were all going to die in a couple of months. You know, it was supposed to be like September or October. You know, of course, we all thought we were going to die in Y2K, and then, you know, then we had like a real fucking drama in fucking 9/11. And then, you know, then 2012 was the next, like, you know, and I think somebody said we were going to have the, what do they call when the souls go to heaven? The
rapture.
The rapture. Someone was predicting the rapture. And so
that gets brought up every so often.
In a series of life-ending events. And here we are. We stand on the edge of yet another world-ending event, but we'll get to that in a minute. You know, 5 years ago, Linsanity and this is according to theweek.com. Linsanity takes over the NWA. Remember Lin? What was his name? Jeremy Lin. He was like on the Knicks or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Whitney Houston died. It's been 5 years since Whitney Houston died.
Tsunami came back.
Tsunami came back 5 years ago?
Came back. Well, they did an April Fool's joke in April, so there you go.
Oh, okay. So that was... it's been 5 years since the Encyclopedia Britannica has put out a final print edition. So in the past 5 years, we've been living in a world of digital Oh boy. And let me tell you, I've been farting up a storm. We talk about dick and fart jokes. I've been farting up a storm because I don't
know how I'm still alive, folks.
Well, hours before the podcast, we were kind of going back and forth on what we're going to eat for dinner or whatever. And I brought some local chicken wings, and we had a whole conversation about why I don't think Rochester is a chicken wing town. We're an hour away from Buffalo.
It's not like. It's not a chicken wing town. It's more of the garbage plate because the garbage plate was invented and everybody tries to eat that.
Well, yeah,
but people like their wings here. It's not like that.
But I'm saying, but wings are something like you could get everywhere. And
I just don't think it's we were kind of talking about how like Hooters has failed here.
Yeah, Hooters has failed here.
Cheerleaders
There's a place
USA
called Cheerleaders, which was basically a ripoff of Hooters, but with girls dressed like cheerleaders.
That failed.
And there was a place called the Tilted Kilt, where girls were walking around.
It just closed down like a couple months ago.
Little mini skirts. Yeah. And it's like, I think in a town where people can eat wings or chicken wings, that places that specifically, but oddly enough, Buffalo Wild Wings is still around.
People love that place.
Yeah, but
here's the thing: like people here, it's kind of like how. And for those of you that listen to this podcast outside of New York State, you don't know what Mighty Taco is. Mighty Taco is kind of like it's not even really Taco Bell. It's actually much different than Taco Bell, but it's a Buffalo chain.
It's if Taco Bell was a little fancier or a lot fancier.
So it's kind of like Mighty Taco, it works in Buffalo, but there's only like 2 locations here in Rochester. And the reason there's only 2 locations is because it never really caught on here. Now, does it do well? I mean, it must do well enough where they're still open. Mm-hmm. I would say that it probably does well enough for them to have the 2 stores. Mm-hmm. There's probably a reason why they didn't expand to another store. Because they usually try to... I think what's happened is a lot of people, they go back and forth between Rochester and Buffalo, which I've heard that. And, so it's more or less... people that come from Buffalo that are working out here go to Mighty Taco, or if they go to school out here, go to Mighty Taco, and that's it.
Well, because you had mentioned the garbage plate, and I don't think people outside... before I moved to Rochester, I never heard of what a garbage plate was. And I said, and what people need to understand is that garbage plates are a thing up here. There are like rivalry businesses where people I think the garbage plate is better at this place, and the garbage place is better at that place, and
like Nick Tahoe's, for example, is the one that originated the plate. So
is the garbage, and then
that's the thing.
His brother went and started his own place, and then there's people like, oh, that's the place you gotta go. But okay.
Well, I guess it's more or less like. There's places, there's like a Henrietta Hods or a Pittsford Hots or whatever. And those are like, these places have tried to do their own garbage plate, but there's no like garbage plate like Nick Tahoe.
But a garbage plate is, it's various things, but it is like macaroni, right? Or like a seasoned macaroni with burger patties
or
sometimes, or hot dogs sometimes. Meat sauce, that seems to be a big thing on it, like putting even though you even if you don't have the specific burger on it, you have the meat sauce, which is basically just everything. Like you cook a burger, that's everything else that's left in the pan when you fry it,
and like the French fries and whatnot.
French fries. So this, so Rochester is actually proud of its garbage plates.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, there was a food truck that came to my job the other day. And I guess just so there's no legal thing, they called it a trash plate. They didn't call it a garbage plate. They called it a trash plate. And one of the local baseball teams, and it's one of the real local baseball teams, they're starting to sell the garbage plate in a cup. And so they call it the trash can. So you get all the stuff that you would get in a garbage plate, but in a cup, the trash can. Which, God bless America, where people could eat fucking, we were literally eating garbage. And the whole thing is it's supposed to be oily and greasy and fattening and
well, it's weird because when people try to introduce like voice actors and actresses and stuff come into town, they usually these cons and that they don't just go and they go, well, we're gonna go to Henrietta Hots or something. No, they go to Nick Tahoe's, get some real garbage plates, and then bring them there. So you can throw it whatever which way you want, but it's not gonna work. So continue.
All right. So 5 years ago, 50 Shades of Grey sparks mommy porn revolution. And that was because 50 Shades of Grey was originally a woman was kind of writing like a fan fiction for Twilight, and then she wrote 50 Shades of Grey. Like she kind of wrote one story. She wrote it based on the characters for Twilight, and ended up making her own like book, 50 Shades of Grey. And here's something definitely related to the show: the Avengers and the Dark Knight square off at the box office. Can it be that in the 5 years since we started this podcast, there's been what? This is the Dark Knight. Then you had the Dark Knight Rises. Technically, the Batman movie, the Lego Batman movie. Batman was in Batman v Superman. So in the 5 years that we've done this podcast, there's been like 3 different versions of Batman. I mean, the Lego Batman's kind of not really a version, but you know, we've had Christian Bale, the guy who does who's the voice for Lego Batman. The guy, he's from Arrested Development. I can't think of his name right now.
Nobody important.
You know, now we got Ben Affleck. You know, there's plans for a new Batman solo movie, you know, in the works. So in the past 5 years, and then the Avengers, you know, here we are, we're on the precipice of, you know, we had the Avengers, which was good. Avengers 2, which sucked ass. That sucked ass, that's being a little harsh. But, you know, the Avengers were now every fucking movie studio is starting to, like, because of the Avengers 5 years ago, now every movie studio is trying to have like a conjoined universe, you know, right now, you know, we're waiting for like, not we're waiting for it, but they're doing like a Mummy movie a couple months from now, and that's supposed to connect to like a Dracula movie and a Frankenstein movie. And
I think you're more along the lines of like Kong, Skull Island, and Godzilla. That's going to lead to its own trilogy. And
yeah, so it's funny how what was a novel idea 5 years ago, now everybody's fucking doing, or everyone's trying to do it. Gangnam Style was the big thing where, you know, remember Gangnam Style when everyone, like, that was like the most, like, that got like 1 billion views at that time, was like the most watched video on Facebook. London Summer Olympics, which I don't really care about. NHL lockout, I don't care about. Felix Baumgartner, that was the guy who jumped from the Red Bull like satellite, like it was like a thing in the fucking sky, and he jumped.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
On October 24th, he left from a capsule floating nearly 24 miles over the Earth. AMC just started The Walking Dead.
I thought it was later than that, but all right.
Yeah. Here's a big one also for the show related. Disney buys Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
You would have thought 5 years ago, Disney would have bought Lucasfilm. Here we are, and definitely when we get to the nerdy part of the news, the second half of the show, we will be talking about The Last Jedi trailer. But, you know, Jesus Christ, 5 years ago, we're 2 movies in, 4 movies to go when it comes to, you know, solo movies, you know, extended universe movies, parts of the movie trilogy proper, you know. Han Solo's dead. You know, Carrie Fisher, unfortunately, has passed
Literally died.
Literally dead. You know, so, you know, who would have thought 5 years ago that, 1, we would have these movies, and 2, we'd be questioning, well, what's going to happen to Princess Leia? You know what I'm saying? What's going to happen? Well, we'll get to that when we get to the nerdy news. The Twilight Saga draws to a close. That was Breaking Dawn Part 2 came out in 2012. I'm not gonna lie, I read the books. I read all the fucking books, but that's because, you know, I was trying to impress a girl or some shit like that. So
I'm going to impress the girl.
So yeah, so that's sort of, I mean, just sort of a roundabout idea of where we've gone, and you know, and maybe not exactly in 2012, but definitely 2013. There was a certain billionaire who was tweeting about the president. You know, saying that the president shouldn't be wasting time golfing all the time, and saying that the president is maybe trying to start a war to distract us from how horrible of a job he's doing.
Yeah.
And here we are 5 years or 4 almost 5 years later, and how fucking history repeats itself. You know, and of course, I don't want to get super duper deep into the politics, but which I always say and we never do anyway. But here we are 5 years later. When Donald Trump was bashing Obama 5 years ago, now all of a sudden,
yeah, you know what Obama's doing right now? Obama's sitting on vacation on a yacht, taking a picture of his wife, and just sitting there going,
Obama ain't tweeting a fucking thing. Obama's sitting there, and it literally, I've seen a picture of it, so it's not a joke. Sounds like any kind of thing racist. He's literally like drinking out of a fucking coconut. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's doing hang gliding or whatever the fuck he's doing. So. What a difference 5 years makes. Half a fucking decade. on how things have changed.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's, you know, we'll get into it, but we're dealing with an idiot here, so.
Well, I mean, this is part of like the first half of the show. We do talk about, and once again, this isn't going to get political, but our administration or our government dropped the MOAB, the mother of all bombs, the biggest non-nuclear weapon that we have in our arsenal. We dropped on Afghanistan to kill. I think they said
it was at least 36, but
they killed it killed a handful of ISIS members. Now, okay, we're gonna pull out our dick and show how fucking big our dicks are or whatever. But what a fucking waste of money. What a waste of, obviously, if there was intelligence, when I say intelligence, like had they scanned the area and figured out who was there and this and that, they would have realized this was obviously some sort of like ploy to kind of, get us to stop thinking about, the Syrian gas attacks and Russia fucking not having. I don't want to get deep into it, but I'm just saying, I just want it for the record, I just want to mention the Syrian gas attacks. How Russia's kind of pissed off at us because then we started bombing Syria, but then Syria has issues with Russia, and all of a sudden...
Trump and his his boyfriend are having a squabble right now.
Donald Trump bit the hand that fed, if Donald, they put you in office, now you do this, what are you, crazy? So...
I mean, okay, look, I'll just say this real quick, like, I actually think what he did in Syria was warranted. Mm-hmm. It didn't really make a difference, in my view, but... it more or less kind of sent a sign like, stop your shit, stop being stupid, like don't use chemical war. Like, we're not trying to get involved in your little civil war, but the minute that you start using chemical weapons is where we go, hello, can you stop? Or do we need to bomb you? Like, that part I was okay with. I don't think Trump was the one that came up with that idea, but that's neither here nor there. He gets the credit because he's the president. As for that huge bomb,
the mother of all bombs. I mean,
that's somebody pissed off somebody in the military, and they're like, "Mr. Trump, can I use the mother of all bombs to blow up these tunnels in Afghanistan?" Huge. And he's just like, yeah, go ahead, do it, and then boom,
it's going to be bigly.
And see, that's the other thing. Like, it wasn't like. I don't know. It kind of, even though yes, they did use it, and it's kind of like, okay, we never thought that they would use something like that. Mm-hmm. It also wasn't like, okay, well, they killed a bunch of civilians or it got close to the civilian thing. It was like a bunch of tunnels in the middle of a desert. Like, I mean, I guess I'm fine with that.
I mean, it's sort of saying, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I know, like. I remember 9/11, and my first, the day after 9/11, I was sort of like, turn that part of the planet into a fucking parking lot. Nuke, what I'm saying? Nuke. I don't give a fuck. You're brown and you're from the Middle East. You should just die. And, and there was a part of me, but I was kind of caught up in the moment and had you told me, oh, we're going to drop our biggest non-nuclear bomb over there in Afghanistan the day after 9/11, I would have said, yeah, do it. You know what I'm saying? But then, I would have said, we're going to wait till 2017? What the fuck? What the hell took so long? And who the fuck is president? But, and once again, I mean, it's not like they shook the structure of the hierarchy of whoever's in ISIS. You know what I'm saying? It was just pulling our dicks out to show the world how big our dicks are.
Well, and I don't, I'm not going to go too far into this because we don't really have the time tonight, but I would say, like, this isn't the stupidest thing that Trump has done. I think later this week he's supposed to, which everybody unanimously passed, and obviously everybody would pass this, stuff for veterans, which is really weird because you would think that the news media would actually cover a lot more of that. That, oh my God, all these lawmakers actually passed a law unanimously. So veterans will be getting what they're supposed to be getting, which is good. So I mean, there's some good things, but then there's also some bad things, and we'll get into that in a different podcast.
I mean, if we're still around for another 5 years from now, when the podcast hits its 10-year anniversary, we'll see what happens then. But okay,
Speaking of being around, still alive.
Well, Paul is still alive, as we discussed in the last podcast. A couple episodes back, or when we were due to put out an episode, you were here with the fucking diarrhea and the flu. And then then you gave it to your fiance. She had the diarrhea and the flu or whatever.
And it came back around.
And then the kid got it. Yeah. Everyone got sick. The last episode, Jen told her story about the food poisoning, and it's sort of like, everyone got fucking sick, but me. But I was there sitting there, and I don't know if you listened to the last episode. I tried to record an episode by myself. I was so fucking like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it by myself, and it just it was very, very uncomfortable. It was just like, fuck it, we'll just do it live or whatever, I do have to say, I mean, a lot. I've learned a lot from doing this podcast, and people have learned a lot about me. And at least, like, I put it out there. I know we kind of joke or whatever. Like, I put it out there. And this is sort of a record of where my life is. Maybe 10 years from now, I could look back and go, wow, I remember when things were that fucked up. And I remember when I wasn't getting laid. And I remember when I was
I remember that time I wasn't getting laid. It was a long stretch, goddammit.
Yeah, I remember that time when I was unemployed and going through rough times. And, when I had a real teeny fucking tiny apartment and I couldn't even afford Wi-Fi. And, it's shit like that, and I want some of this to be fucking recorded. I mean, it's sort of like a diary. It's sort of like, this was the shit that was going on in my life at the time. And but like I said, I tried to do an episode by myself, and it felt like I was doing like a news report. I felt like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and it's like, the podcast, no man is an island. And so
that's why when you do a podcast, you got to always have at least another person, because it's kind of like. I can't listen to a podcast, honestly, if it's just one person. Yeah. I can't. And even like videos on YouTube where the guy's like, oh yeah, let me talk about this subject and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just sitting there going, how do you do that? Like, I get it. People watch your videos and I get that you're talking to people, but how do you do that?
Well, I mean, if you're doing like at the absolute maximum a 15-minute video, then you could riff for 15 minutes on one topic. Right. And and even 15 minutes is way pushing it. I mean, maybe more like 11 or shit. Sometimes you're done with everything you have to say in 3 minutes.
Right.
But I mean, I try to do it. Thankfully that podcast will never see the light of day. But it's sort of and I do thank you for hosting me in your house and shit like that. And I don't want to get all corny about it, but like I said, this podcast.
Yeah, you don't see the gun off camera that's pointed at his head right now.
I mean, doing the podcast means a lot to me, and it's a record of my life at this point in my life, and I mean, in a couple of months I turned 40. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this since I was 35. I mean, the earlier episodes that I recorded with Kristen, you hear my daughter as like a toddler, like goo goo gaga shit, and it's so weird that
now you hear her like banging shit,
and all that noise you hear upstairs,
and then you're just like sitting there going, "What the fuck is she doing?" Oh my god!
And that's one good thing. We're recording in the warmer weather where the heater isn't kicking on every 45 minutes.
Oh, don't worry, I'll go up there and do it. It'll be fine.
But yeah, so Paul, you're still alive. You had. So what, you had like the flu,
I think it was one of those stomach bugs that was going around.
Something just going.
Because I thought that maybe it was like food poisoning. And then all of a sudden she got it. And I'm like, okay, so this is a bug. Mm-hmm. And then Sophia got it and we're like, but I don't think Sophia got it that bad as we did. Mm-hmm. So, because there was some times where like, not to be graphic, but it came out both ends, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, I'm like, really, dude? And Kelsey is like, just throw those underwear in the trash. I'm like, okay. So, it's just, it is what it is, like, it happens. I can't do anything about it. It's kind of weird because that happened, so I had to use one of my sick days, which is awesome. I have sick days. And then I think it was the week after, all of a sudden, we have that huge snowstorm that over 2 days, and my work was closed, so I had to use 2 vacation days, so I'm sitting there going, it's not a bad vacation going on here. So
I'm gonna sit at home and not do a fucking thing.
So it was a pleasant week that happened. So after whatever.
And once again, it shows you how crazy it was. 2-3 weeks ago, we're fucking 24 inches of snow. Yet, I was wearing shorts on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and that was the thing. Like, what happens with me is, and I really do think that I kind of have some kind of like allergy, but it's like a slight allergy or something, because like it'll go from like one temperature to the other, and then I'm instantly sick. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I was fine the other day. Like, what the fuck? So I'm hoping I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I don't got to use any more sick days, but whatever.
That first really, really nice day we had was like 70, 80 degrees or whatever, and I took my daughter out for ice cream, and we're sitting outside, and up here in Rochester there's a place called Abbott's, and there's a couple ones in the city, and we're sitting outside in Abbott's, and I got fucking ate alive by mosquitoes. And then the weather dropped down again. I'm like, good, I hope all those fucking mosquitoes died, because those mosquitoes came out like in force that day, and so. All right, so we got the nice weather. Some winter started. We just had Easter the other day. You didn't do anything special for Easter, right? Or no?
We went and ate dinner at the family's house, and then that was about it. I went and worked, made time and a half. Nobody came. We did like under 300 people, which is, with Fast and the Furious being out, that was kind of like...
Okay.
Apparently Tinseltown had bed bugs, according to customers.
And for people who don't know, Tinseltown's like one of the local.
It's the one
places.
that has the IMAX theater.
It has the IMAX theater. Do they have the seating?
They have the luxury seating now too, but they don't have it in the IMAX theater.
And I'll be honest with you, thank God they don't. But that's the whole thing is, I've only gone to Tinseltown because they have the IMAX theater. Yeah. I've never gone to Tinseltown for other than the IMAX theater. And I don't give a fuck if there's fucking giant, the big fucking bug good. I'm gonna fucking go see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in IMAX. And I don't give a fuck if I have to wear a fucking hazmat suit because...
Well, I don't know if it's just a rumor and people have just been spreading it, or if it actually is true. I haven't really seen anything on the news. I saw News 10 kind of debunked it or something.
That's what I'm saying. If it was a legit thing, people
it would have been
out
on
about
news.
it. It's just
but it was really weird because I had a lady come in and she said something about it. I was like, oh, okay, and I'm sitting there going whatever, and then, whatever. It's probably just she's losing her mind or whatever, And this was at the first set, and then the second set, some guy comes in, he's like, oh yeah, my friend got bit on Thursday, blah, 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 and I'm sitting there going, okay, maybe there's something legit to this. What's going on?
I think it's one of those, fucking yenta, that's the only word I could think of, yenta, is when, gossiping housewife type fucking bullshit, where it's probably something on Facebook, someone said something, and then, my kid got, bed bugs.
Well, it looks like
it got bed bugs from somewhere else, and you're fucking blaming it on
It looks
the
like
theater.
Channel 10 here in Rochester actually debunked it and said that they called and there wasn't anything going on. But, I don't know. I don't go to Tinseltown. Yeah. Apparently there was a sign in the window. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sitting here saying that it's true or if it was. I'm just wondering if it was true, if it was just a rumor, fine.
I think if it was true, we would have fucking heard about it, and it's not like theaters really clean their seats. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to disagree with you.
But then again, who's coming in like fucking Pigpen? You know what I'm saying? It's not like homeless people are coming into the fucking theaters. I mean, it might.
We
kids
do.
Are kids, and kids are nasty little fucking shit factories.
Honestly, I think that with the luxury seating, and again, I don't know that because I don't have luxury seating at my theater. They may end up. They do, I think, clean it really good once a year because it is leather seating. Mm-hmm. So I would expect that. Mm-hmm. But other than that, at my theater, we don't. We clean the back of the seats and we clean the cup holders and that. That's something that you do once a year usually. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing really that's needed.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, so let's cut some of the quick shoot some of the other stuff. Charlie Murphy, darkness. What did the five fingers say to the face? Yeah. Charlie Murphy passed away. I think best known... He lost
his battle with leukemia.
Yeah.
He's best known for being on Chappelle's show.
Chappelle's show. And then the whole thing is not for nothing. When you looked at Charlie Murphy back in the days of the Chappelle show, and I remember I particularly remember he did that movie CB4 about the rappers. It was kind of goofing on NWA. Do you remember that? Chris Rock did it. Chris Rock... my point is, Charlie Murphy was always a dude that worked out. You looked at him and he was always
He was
muscular.
In... God, what was it? I think he was in Friday. No. Is that the one I'm thinking about?
Are you confusing him with Tiny Lister?
No. There was that one where I think it was Next Friday, where they're in the CD store. Which one's that one?
Oh, but not.
I think it was the CD. Yeah. I think it was Next Friday.
He wasn't Pinky. He might have been in the movie. All I'm saying is, when you watch Chappelle's show, and then like I said in that movie CB4, he was always like a dude that hit the gym. And you know what? And it's like, here's a guy who obviously took care of himself.
Yeah.
And fucking leukemia, fucking cancer just, just negates everything. You might as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure he partied. I'm pretty sure he did coke and all that other shit. But he was
but it wasn't.
But he wasn't like a drug addict. He was a guy who took care of himself, and a fucking cancer takes him out. And it's just,
sucks.
Funny guy. And like, every time anybody who's ever said, "I'm Rick James, bitch," they say, Chappelle acted the part, but that's because Charlie Murphy told the story. Hearing about fucking Prince playing basketball, you know what I'm saying, and making pancakes. That's all because of Charlie Murphy. So
yeah,
that was like a blow because the Chappelle show was like groundbreaking, and so some of the most brightest sketches were from Charlie Murphy.
Don't cry at me now.
No, I got gas.
The next one is painful.
The next one is United Airlines. People getting thrown, the guy getting dragged off the fucking plane. And it's so stupid.
That guy's going to make a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, guy was acting like a fucking idiot. He's supposed to be like a doctor and all that shit. But, like, when you watch the video, there's a woman screaming, "Oh my God, oh my God." And it's like, I want to punch that fucking woman in the fucking throat. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. The guy was acting stupid. And yes, it's not every day you see someone getting dragged off a plane. And then when you realize what it was about, they got dragged off a plane because fucking
4 people had to go. Four of their employees needed to go to whatever's.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have never happened that way. And here's the other thing too. Like, it wasn't that happened. It wasn't that. That didn't. I mean, that initially kind of hurt, and they probably could have been fine with that. It was the email that the boss sent, the CEO sends out to everybody that got leaked in public that said basically that the employees did what they were supposed to do, and, I'm sorry that we had to take care of these customers. That irritated everything and dropped their stock value $800 million in one day. Like, that right there is not how to do things. And I'm surprised the CEO wasn't told to pack his bags and get the hell out. Like, even though it was in a private email, dude, you don't do that. Like, you let things settle. I understand you didn't say that in public, but you said it in an email. It's in writing.
Yeah, it's on the record forever and ever and ever.
I'm sorry, dude, but now you're done. You're done. Like, they should have fired him.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm really surprised he's still there. That's the thing. Like, he should be fired. That would help. I mean, obviously, what they're doing now, I guess what they announced today or whatever they said is, if they're going to do the same thing that they did, meaning like they need employees to fly on a flight to go down, that they'll do it before anybody boards, which it should be done that way. That's the way they always do it usually. Whenever I fly, whenever I've flown to Atlanta, it's always been Delta, and they always ask, this flight is overbooked. Is there anybody that wants to volunteer and get on the next flight or whatever? And normally, I mean, people will either give up their seat or whatever, and then they start boarding the plane, and then they, you go from there. But see, the thing is like for me, like I'm going for a purpose. So I'm just getting on the plane, going to where I need to go, and that's it. I'm not sitting here being like, well, I'm on vacation this week, so you know what? I think I can wait another day and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not like that. Fuck no. I want to get on my plane, get the fuck to where I need to go, and just be done with it. Apparently, there was another incident with a couple that had a wedding, but it's the water's kind of murky on that one because apparently, from the sounds of it, they were drunk, and they tried to get into first class, and United was not having it. They're like, no, you're not getting into first class. We're not going to deal with this. So they kicked him off the plane because they were being disruptive.
Well, yeah, that's different. Yeah,
and we don't know. And because of what happened, people are like, oh, here we go. United's doing this shit again. But, that one sounds a little bit more like maybe they didn't think. And here's the thing. And I want people to understand this. If you don't see a video of it, it probably did happen because it's not interesting. Who cares about a drunk couple getting thrown off a United plane? Nobody's going to record that. They're going to record somebody getting their ass beat on fucking on United plane. So what I'm saying to you is, that one was probably real. And, let that one go. But, the guy that got hurt, he's going to get payday. And United will recover from this, but they have to. My suggestion would be get rid of the CEO immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't been on a plane since fucking 2004. That was the last time I was on a plane. But when I was a kid, I mean, we used to fly all the time. My family used to fly all over the country. We were never bumped. We were never. I mean, of course, I was a kid. I don't really remember. They might have.
They
asked.
don't usually bump
That's what I'm
you.
saying. And let me tell you, when I went to Vegas, and even when I came back from Vegas, and like I was cheap, so I took like joining flights. Like I had to take like 2 separate flights. Like I flew to like Memphis and then fucking transferred over. Like I was that cheap, you know. So, but let me tell you, when we were on the plane, like going to Vegas, and I even think coming back, like I swear to God, it was like a whole plane for like 50 people. You know what I'm saying? Like when I went to Vegas, I was on an empty fucking plane, and if it's full, you know,
it's usually like coming out of Rochester. It's usually like a plane for like maybe 50 to 100 people. Like it's not that big.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, if you get on like a Southwest or something like that, those are the huge flights that have a shitload of people.
Yeah.
And you know,
well, because it's also they're inexpensive or whatever. But I don't. All I'm saying is, you know, everyone needs to fucking behave themselves. You know, you're on a fucking plane. It's a fucking, you know, it's a scary situation. You're, you know, when you finally do get up in the air, you know, when there's pressurized tube, 45,000 feet in the air, everyone needs to calm the fuck down.
And handle your shit the right way. Don't fucking be stupid.
Okay, and they have announced that New York State is going to be a free tuition state. Well, they've announced, I think it's what for SUNY schools for people who don't know what SUNY
and CUNY
State University
yes.
of New York, and then CUNY is City University of New York. New York, you know, it's funny, you know, after you know, even though we didn't get Bernie in office, you know. We sort of voted for, and
let's kind of break this down a little bit. It's tuition. That doesn't count books, and that doesn't count
$700 books,
right? And that doesn't count. That doesn't also count room and board. Now, obviously, if you're going to MCC over here, I mean, you're not going to pay for room and board, so that's not that bad. And you know what? I can afford, even if it's $1,000 in books, I can afford that.
Yeah.
You know, here's my problem is this is a good first step, but I think that what needs to happen now is people that have debt, college debt. If you're going to do that in New York State, you should also, for people that have been living here for years and have stayed here since they got their degree, like myself, you should also offer to waive some of at least the government loans. You know, that would help. That's part of the problem here is, and you know, some people were saying this when Bernie was out there in the Democratic primary. You know, yeah, that's all well and good, but how are you number one, how are you gonna pay for free college? And number two, not only that, but what about the people that are paying loans, specifically the private loans that we have to pay every single day? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my thing. Like you should, if you're gonna do that for people, then you should be doing that for, you know, people that have the debt. You know what I mean?
But it's just like, I mean, recently this has sort of been something that I've been a bit more into, without getting into all details and shit like that. But it's sort of like, you know, it is a shame when you find out someone's fucking 20 grand in debt, 50 grand in debt, 100 grand in debt, and they're working at a fucking Walmart or they're working at a Dollar General. You know, and it's sort of like, oh, okay, that's a message from Vol. And you know, they're working fucking Burger King or something like that. And it's like, you went through all this fucking school, and some people they didn't finish school, and you know, they got all this debt and they're fucking doing nothing. But
one of my bosses said to me, one of the part of the problem is they're raising minimum wage to kind of hurt the middle class. And I do think that it does hurt the middle class in the sense that, you know, okay, and on one hand, yes, you could probably buy a house now making $12.50 to $15 an hour. You can probably actually afford a house. But on the other hand, and that's if you're full time, by the way. On the other hand, though, you got all these other things that you're buying on a daily basis going up substantially because of the price of minimum wage going up. So it's kind of like, you know, this is a good thing, and this is going to be good for our kids, you know, and I'm happy about that. But, you know, I would like for them to, you know, sit here and be like, hey, you have loans, you've lived here for years, let's help you with that. You know what I mean? Because the problem is, and this is something that people don't understand, is when I went to college, there was only like one lender really available when you would go to college. And like mine was through Citibank, for example. And Citibank has since branched off and given a loan to one person, a different company, and now they're actually handing it off to another company. And the problem is that, you know, they were private loans. I can't consolidate those. I can't. It's not consolidate. I can't have somebody come in and easily just pay for it in a different loan and get a lower payment. You know what I mean? So it kind of sucks. It sucks in that regard. I'm not saying that they're not like affordable, like I can pay them. It's just, you know, that amount of money that I'm spending every single month would be better because then I can just, you know, pay off the rest of the stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to. That way I can actually afford stuff. It was the same thing with the healthcare. Like, you know, I finally got a good health plan that I was only spending $20 a month on, which is great through the healthcare market. But then, like, you know, well, before that, the last 2 years before that, I was spending about almost $200 every month. You know what I mean? So, you know, we need to take care of everybody here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people that are actually working their asses off and doing what they need to do. I mean, I've been paying, it's going to be coming up on 10 years that I've been paying loans. So how about you help me?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Sorry to go off on a little rant, but how much you pay, you know, I got loans.
Once again, Paul makes it about himself.
No, it's not about, no.
How do I benefit from this?
It's not about me. It's about people like me that are doing the right thing, that are working their asses off, that deserve to actually get these loans paid off. We're not out on the streets shooting people. We're not out on the streets trying to steal stuff.
You pay your taxes and stuff like that.
Exactly. So if we're doing things right, how about you help us out? That's all I'm saying. Like, and I think that needs to be a topic of conversation in the next New York State budget.
Yeah,
honestly,
I think it's a step in the right direction, and hopefully people can get better jobs, and you know, as the global economy, and I hate to sound all, you know, political, but you know, as we're competing with fucking, you know, other countries which kind of have, you know, versions of free you know, college level educations, you know, we have to step our fucking game up. I mean, this past election alone shows that there is an anti-intellectualism in this country, and we do need more better educated people for the future. And I don't know, I just wanted to just leave it at that. All right, then there's that stupid. Okay, then next up, just that stupid Pepsi ad with Kylie Jenner giving a Pepsi.
I think we don't even really need to say anything about that.
All I'm saying is, like, it's funny because like all the Kardashian girls date black guys.
But okay, wait. Okay, wait a minute. That was not where I was going with that. Wait a minute.
I'm just saying is that, like, because the protest was obviously like some sort of like Black Lives Matter protest, even though they never said in the commercial, and there's people of different colors and stuff like that.
The problem is it wasn't even about her. She wasn't the problem. The problem is that. And this is something that we have to understand is people are very sensitive today. Yeah. Very sensitive. So you do an ad like that, you have protesters, and then she goes up and gives them a Pepsi. You're just sitting there. People are gonna react to that.
It's very tone deaf.
Like,
it's very you don't solve a problem by giving a cop a fucking Pepsi.
and I don't know, like, I don't know. See, this is why I don't understand certain companies, because you have somebody that makes something, and you know that there's somebody that looks at that before it goes out to TV, whatever.
Before it should have been killed in the boardroom.
Right. So when they saw this ad, what the hell did they think? I would love to know, like, what the hell? Oh yeah, that's fine. That's a perfect commercial. No, it's. I bet you there were some people in that room that went, "What are you doing? Like, do you not understand what Black Lives Matter is? Like, they will crucify. That's fine. We'll be fine." And then that happened. You know, it's like I just want to be like a fly in the wall. Like, I kind of wish we had there was a time machine, and then I could like go right to, like, be invisible in that boardroom and just watch and see what these idiots say, because that kind of shit interests me. Like,
it got funded. It got.
What did you do?
Someone had to submit a treatment. You know, someone had to approve the budget. You know, but
it's also the same thing. Like, coming back to the United, like, it's the same exact deal. Like why the next day would you send an email out saying that? You know what I mean? It's kind of along the same lines. Think before you act. It's the core thing that your parents tell you. Think before you act. Why would you do this stupidity? Like, you know, it's like, you know, and well, I mean, never mind. We voted Trump in. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on. Okay. Commercial.
All right. So speaking of commercials, we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsETC1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How did you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-n-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now for listeners of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. All right, Paul, let's get to the nerdy news. Oh my God, I jizzed in my pants so much. All right. The last episode, me and Jen had spoke about the Justice League trailer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know which one we should talk about first. I mean, there's The Last Jedi. The next...
I think we know which one we're going to start about. It's The Last Jedi.
All right, so we'll start... Okay, let's do The Last Jedi. Well, okay. Well, one, wow. You know, we finally get to see... And, of course, there were rumors online where, like, they had shown, like, not test footage. They had shown to investors, they had shown footage of Luke finally meeting Rey.
Well, let's stop right there. Here's something I got to say about this. Like, about time. Like, where was this trailer? Like when Rogue One came out. I get it. They weren't done doing what they were supposed to be doing.
I think they wanted to let Rogue One get its
right,
like live its own life without being like because had you said oh we're gonna show a trailer for Episode 8 during Rogue One. They would have said, "Oh, Rogue One, you know, people only want to see Rogue One to see the trailer for Episode 8."
Right.
And they were smart enough to release it like pretty much around the same time Rogue One was released on DVD. Which once again, and for people who follow me on Facebook, I watched Rogue One again. I could not. I've watched it 3 times now. And when I say 3 times, not that I watched it and I fell asleep. I watched it again, I fell asleep. You know, and then I think I started watching again and I got distracted and I just turned it off. I cannot get myself to like this. I can't, you know, as much as I love Star Wars, I could not get myself to watch Rogue One.
I'm gonna have to. I've never seen it, so I'm gonna have to.
It's a boring fucking movie with it's got characters you don't care about, and you know, and if it didn't have the license of Star Wars, if this movie came out of nowhere and I said, all right, Paul, there's this sci-fi movie or whatever about the girl whose father had plans for this big giant weapon and how, you know, they get the plans, you know, then he leaves his daughter. That's not interesting.
You know what I would like for them to do, and the Rogue One was a success for them. So I think that they could easily do this. I think what I would like to see them do is something that a lot of people have asked them to do, is to take it before episode 1 of the new trilogy. Well, obviously everything's now in order, but of the new quote unquote trilogy, and tell the story of the Jedi kind of a little bit more, of how they were defending the universe and everything, and do some huge like Jedi fight scenes, because we don't get to see that a lot. Yeah, we get to see them fight a little bit in the live action. Yeah, we get to see the stormtroopers, but we don't get to see the Jedi, like the massive amount of Jedi.
We don't see them in their glory days.
Right. So, and here's a better thing: you could actually connect it by having Liam Neeson in that movie, and because you could still do it. I think,
just make
feasibly
it
well.
Just make it
feasibly
good.
well. You could figure out a way to do it and have him.
Well, he would have to look younger than he did 20 years
that's
ago.
True. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you understand what I'm saying. So
well, I mean, you could. I mean, obviously the big one. I mean, I was waiting for you to fucking say it. Obviously, there is a huge market for people who love Knights of the Old Republic. You know, there's people if you
they should do it.
I mean, I mean, now of course, once Disney bought Lucasfilm, they kind of threw all that out in the fucking garbage.
And by the way, I do want to say this: like Disney buying the Star Wars franchise, because Lucasfilm's Star Wars franchise, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. That was a good thing for the movie industry, and I'm going to tell you why. Because that secured the movie industry for several years. Not just that, but Marvel. All of that has secured the movie industry.
Yeah, the first one, all waiting for.
Right, and everybody's going to rush to the movie theaters to see these films.
Because Marvel, I mean, and Marvel and Disney, or Disney and... I say Marvel and Disney as if they're two separate companies, but the Marvel branch of the Disney Corporation, we already know there's Episode 8 coming out. We already know there's a Han Solo movie coming out. We already know after that Episode 9 comes out. Then there's some unannounced project. After we know there's like 4 more movies to go.
Let's talk about this one, though. Let's talk about Force Awakens. Or, not Force Awakens, Jedi. The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
I find it interesting that the one thing that kind of stuck out at me in this trailer was the fact that Luke is like, if there's one thing that I know for sure, is that the Jedi must end. And the thing that people don't, and here's my problem, and I'm really hoping that this doesn't happen, and when we heard Last Jedi anyways, this is what we were thinking, that Luke was going to die. I'm hoping that's not going to happen. And I especially hope this doesn't happen because of what's going on, because of Carrie Fisher dying. Yeah. And I honestly, I think we can probably say that somehow she either dies in this one or they indicate her dying in the next one.
Yeah, I'm getting conflicting rumors whether she's going to be in 9 or not.
No, they announced that they said at Star Wars Celebration this past weekend that she is not going to be in 9. The family said that they are completely fine with her being in Episode 9 if they want to do it, and Disney has said no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So
we lost Han Solo. I'm assuming we're gonna lose Leia in this one. Either that or they're going to use whatever they can and then just kill her off in the beginning of Episode 9.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to kill Luke. I once again, or at least not in this movie.
No.
Because, once again, I mean, here's my take on it, and I sort of, not that it's stolen, but I think the angle that they're going to go with is that Luke is the last Jedi. As in, like, the last person to be, like, all light side of the Force.
Right.
And I think what these movies are going to try to, like, go with is that you have to be a little evil. You have to be a little Sith. You have to be a little Jedi. You have to be a gray Jedi. You can't be red or you can't be green. I don't know, whatever the fucking color is when you mix red and green. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get brown.
They said, as Ren? Yeah.
Kylo Ren, yeah.
No, not Kylo Ren.
Rey
is talking. She says, she sees the light, she sees the dark, and then she sees the balance. And that's the thing. Like, even, and it really hasn't been brought up, and maybe it will be brought up in this film. There is what I guess you can't call them Jedi or Sith. There are Force-wielding people that are in the middle. Are they called the Gray, or they're whatever? I don't know.
But I think that was more of a Rebels thing than
right. But what I'm saying to you is there's going to be this.
You got to be moderate. You can't be Republican. You can't be Democrat. You got to be moderate.
Right. So maybe what's happening here is that Luke is understanding that he can't. His mistake, which was indicated in The Force Awakens, was trying to recreate the Jedi. That didn't work out for him. And he's sensing that this is not the path that needs to be taken. The path that needs to be taken is that a new generation needs to be created of good force-wielding people, but not Jedi. Not a force of, not like a police force, I guess is the better thing.
Well, because, in the first movies, Jedis couldn't marry, Jedis couldn't, they couldn't have kids. Right. They couldn't, if you were lucky enough, you were born of whatever, but like the Jedis were like monks. And then that's what made, part of that is what made Darth Vader fall. Like, that's what made Anakin Skywalker fall, is you can't live one extreme. You can't be totally evil and say, I'm going to kill everybody and kill everything.
I think...
And you can't be totally good, like, I'm not going to fucking...
I kind of think what we're starting to see here, and this was more with Kylo Ren, I think what you're starting to see is, especially with Kylo Ren, this confusion, I guess is the best way to put it. Is he a Sith? I guess you could say he's a Sith. But is he completely on the dark side? No. And even after killing his father, I don't think we're going to see him be completely on the dark side. I think that there's going to be at some point, and it may happen in this movie, where he switches. And, whether that's now or that's in number 9, I have a feeling that's going to happen. I also have a feeling that somehow there's a connection with Rey. I don't know. I don't know if that would be cousin. I don't know if that would be sister. I kind of, as we had talked before when the Force Awakens came out, said that it would be interesting to see if Rey is not only is his brother, her brother, Kylo Ren is her brother, and Han Solo and them put her on this planet to keep her out of any conflict that would happen because of what happened between Luke and Leia. It makes sense because they're kind of doing the exact same thing as that original trilogy. And here's another indication that I just thought about, and it makes sense to me now in my mind. Yeah, okay, somebody bought the Millennium Falcon, but what if it wasn't bought? What if it was actually put there so that Rey could find it, and that would ultimately lead her on to coming back into this fold? You see what I'm saying? Do you understand?
I think the Millennium Falcon was stolen a couple times. It
was stolen, but they say it was stolen, but what if it wasn't stolen? What if Han Solo had made it out like it was stolen, but really it was put on that planet so that way when Rey was of age, somehow she would find the Millennium Falcon, and it would lead to all of what happened. Not like what happened, but for them coming back together. Because, other things have happened, and it's not like a mom didn't have twins before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't...
I still think it's Luke's daughter. And the reason I say that is maybe that's part of the reason he says Luke. Maybe that's why he says a Jedi has to end. Maybe he was trying to be a pure Jedi. He busted a nutted up on some girl, and he hid his daughter out of shame. I'll come back and get you. But
if she's not in this lineage of the Skywalker family, then my base belief is she's part of she's part of Obi-Wan's bloodline, in the sense that obviously she can't. It probably wasn't Obi-Wan's child, but maybe he was the grandfather. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but either way, either if it's Luke's kid or Obi-Wan's kid, somebody had sex out of what Jedis aren't supposed to have sex. So somebody had sex and hid the fucking kid. Whether Obi-Wan was hiding Rey's parents or Luke was hiding his daughter. I'm going to go with,
I think it was probably Obi-Wan. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that because it makes, based on what we saw in the Clone Wars animated series, which is canon, by the way, there's an indication here that something went on between those two. So... if they had a daughter, and whether or not Obi-Wan knew or not.
And who?
Obi-Wan and I can't think of her name.
Obi-Wan and some chick?
She's like I can't remember what her name is, but people would know exactly what I'm talking about right now. But basically...
Not Darth Vader's apprentice, not Ashoka.
No.
Dirty old man.
She was involved in all that. She saw what was going on, but I honestly think that if anybody did something and nobody knew about it, it was Obi-Wan. And I think that's part of the reason why, I think Obi-Wan kind of became... Well, first of all, I think Obi-Wan kind of became stronger because of that and actually became a Jedi Master more, because he realized that he can't... This is why you can't have a connection. and she probably never told him. And it makes more sense for the Obi-Wan thought process because of the lightsaber, the blue lightsaber, more than it makes more sense that it's, her. Because, obviously, yes, Luke Skywalker had this, but then before that, Obi-Wan had his hands on it, and so did Anakin Skywalker. So, something in there is, something in there. It's either the Skywalker bloodline or it's Obi-Wan's bloodline. Yeah. And I'm thinking it's more Obi-Wan, but there again, that lightsaber was created first by Anakin Skywalker, so who knows? I mean, but Obi-Wan's, and by the way, Ewan McGregor did record part of those voices that you heard when she grabbed the lightsaber. So, or no, it wasn't Rey. It was Rey.
Rey, yeah.
It was Rey. Yeah.
The quote unquote flashbacks or whatever. The force backs. All right, let me see what else. In the very, very beginning of the trailer, and we'll kind of wrap it up soon. In the beginning of the trailer, we see Rey kind of fall into screen, sort of the same way we had Finn pop into screen. The first trailer for Force Awakens.
Oh, there's a video. There's a video online that compares the two first trailers. Mm-hmm. The first trailer of Last Jedi and the Force trailer, and obviously this was a little bit edited. The Force Awakens one, and you just sit there and you go, okay, I see where they're going with this.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that, like, if you look at Rey, she's obviously scared or frightened or something like that, and she falls to the ground, and you kind of look behind her, and you kind of see like a cave. You kind of see, and my theory is that cave is sort of like where Yoda tells Luke, "Don't go there. There's a darkness there," and then Luke has like the spiritual battle with Darth Vader, and he cuts off Darth Vader's head, and the helmet explodes, and you see Luke Skywalker's face in the helmet. I think the same way, and once again, this is sort of veering off into the extended universe in the books. They said that Yoda was on Dagobah because that planet had like evil on it.
Right.
So that's how he hid from the Emperor all those years, because even though he was
they're on that, but see, Luke's on that one planet, and that's at the Jedi Temple where this is happening. So it
looks like it's on the same planet that she finds him on.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the Jedi temple.
But I think there's an evil there. I think something there. I think they're gonna show like maybe there was some sort of evil there. So
yeah, but isn't there a part of the training of being a Jedi that kind of Yoda did this, but more or less like it shows you the dark side in a way, and shows you all three sides. The light, the dark, the balance, and because in that same cave there's that thing that she says, when she says the balance, she's looking at this little diagram. So what I'm saying is this obviously, she's going to go through some kind of trial here. Mm-hmm. And obviously Luke has found that she is worthy to go through the training to be whatever he wants her to be, because obviously he doesn't want the Jedi to be the Jedi, but this is going to be an interesting one. And it's also going to be interesting to see if Luke goes back with her to wherever she goes, because here's the other thing too. If you noticed in the trailer, it kind of you see a vision of Luke like kind of falls to his knees next to R2-D2. I think that's Luke Skywalker, and that's that scene. If you remember in The Force Awakens where he puts his hand on,
and he puts the map on R2-D2's head.
I think what you see is the Jedi Temple being destroyed, and then you saw like Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren behind him. I think that was them, coming out of the fire after they destroyed the temple, wherever Luke was training them, whether it was a temple or not.
And maybe, and I'm just maybe, because we keep saying Knights of Ren. Where the fuck are all the rest of these knights? You know what I'm saying? And then maybe Luke slaughters them, and he shows a little mercy for his nephew and lets his nephew go or some shit like that. And maybe that's where all the evil is on Jeddah, like not Jeddah, whatever that planet that he's on.
There's a lot of the problem is there's a lot
of all the Knights of Ren.
See, the problem is there's a lot of questions here, Chris, and we could go on all night about this, but hopefully we get at least half of these questions answered into this film.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting either way, and I look forward to seeing what they come up with. I think 9's going to be even more interesting without Carrie Fisher, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So,
all right. So, did you want to talk about Rebels or no?
Just real quick, it's interesting that they're after 4 seasons they're getting rid of Rebels. There was an indication, and I don't know if this is ever true, and I don't know if it is true, but apparently the ratings weren't as good. But they had signed for a new season, so everybody was like, oh, okay, so the ratings must have been really good. So it's really weird that they did that. There's a thought process that there might be another animated show coming, and that's why they got rid of Rebels. I mean, they're kind of coming to the end of what they can do with this series, honestly.
Yeah, there's only so much in between certain movies and stuff like that, and obviously
Clone Wars went on for like 6 or 7 seasons, so
yeah. I mean, but unless they find a way to weave it into the current universe, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan, and I don't give a fuck about Rebels. You know what I'm saying? And that's a sad thing. It bothers me that I say that, but I really don't care. And it's sort of,
I mean, I have to say, like, I do like the scene where it was old Obi-Wan versus Kylo Ren versus Darth Maul. Mm-hmm. And even though it was a short scene where he just basically obliterates him in one shot, I do like how, like, Darth Maul's like, is he the chosen one? And he's like, yes. And he's like, he'll avenge us all, and then dies. Because even Maul, after seeing the vision through the, whatever those Jedi objects are, was able to see that this person that's going to be Luke Skywalker, obviously, would bring balance to the Force. The question here is, and that's the bigger question here, and hopefully we'll get that answered, is what is going to happen? Like, was Luke Skywalker really the person, or is Rey the balance to the Force? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see where we're going with this? It's been said, well, there's every trilogy, there's always been this person that brought balance. So Darth Vader brought balance to the dark side of the Force. Luke brought it back to the good side. Now there's this kind of balancing act of, is it good? Is the evil going to come back? Can the good side keep it from not coming back? And where does these Jedi and Sith come in? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's what this last trilogy does. For all we know, it may go beyond that trilogy, and we may have another trilogy. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I'm just excited to be able to see where this goes, honestly. And I'm the only thing that I can say about Rebels is it is a good series. I wish I would have seen it from the beginning. I probably will watch it from the beginning if I can. And also, I think if they do another series, I think between episode 6 and 7 would be a good idea. Mm-hmm. Because there's a huge trove in there of
the rise of the First Order,
right?
The rise of, where the fuck Snoke came from,
because in the books, which aren't canon now, but everybody was saying that the Empire was called the Remnant. It wasn't the First Order; it was the Remnant. Mm-hmm. So, are they going to talk about that? Does the Remnant become the First Order? Like, I have answers. I have questions.
Yeah, like
I need answers.
Maybe somebody. Maybe there were pieces of the Empire floating around.
Yeah.
And Snoke was the one said, no, everybody, we're getting.
Oh, by the way, Dave
Filoni,
who did Rebels and does Clone Wars too. He was actually involved with King of the Hill. I never knew that. I read that on ComingSoon.net. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's been in animation for a while.
So, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Unless you had one more thing to talk about.
Well, all right. I mean, we have to talk about the Thor trailer, even if it's just for a moment.
Okay.
I mean, what a fucking great trailer.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marvel is pushing this movie in more of a direction of a Guardians of the Galaxy. Where the original.
I like the 80s logo.
Yeah, the 80s logo. It feels like a album cover from the 80s, like the way it looks. Because remember, the Norse gods, or whatever you want to call them, are aliens in this universe. So when aliens are sort of, then you could bring in the whole aesthetic of Guardians of the Galaxy.
I find
these characters are going to go into the Infinity War.
Well, and see, the thing that is interesting to me about this is, does Asgard get completely destroyed? Is that what happens?
Well, see, and remember, like Ragnarok. I mean, of course, I don't think it's going to be a literal translation, but Ragnarok is, for the lack of a better term, the end of the world, the end of the apocalypse, the end of days. So technically, if they wanted to, they can wrap up the whole Thor storyline by just killing everybody. Keep Thor, keep Loki, maybe even keep Odin or whatever, and you can kill off every other fucking character where Thor never has to go back to Asgard again. I mean, I'm just saying, is it sloppy or whatever? Maybe, and who knows?
Well,
maybe Marvel has no plans for Thor after this movie, so you could technically even kill off. I mean, bring him into Infinity War, but you could kill off every other fucking Asgardian or every other character from that universe.
I don't think they're going to go that far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so because it would piss off a lot of fans. But
yeah.
But Ragnarok, for all intents and purposes, Ragnarok, the translation is basically the apocalypse, end of the world.
Right. Well, I mean, she destroys his hammer, so
yeah. So I'm saying she could destroy Asgard and everyone kind of scatters to the fucking wind, and then they bring him back when they need him.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm very. If you haven't seen the trailer, you got to watch it first of all.
I mean, it's a perfect name,
and there's been a lot of memes made of it.
Yeah,
memes, whatever.
And what's her face as Hela? Mike, is Kate Blanchett?
Might be.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett's fucking smoking hot. I mean, she looks a little weird, but she's fucking hot, and she's never looked that sexy before. And now she looks sexy. Maybe because
all right. No boners here.
I'm just saying, she looks good. And then, she is, for the lack of a better term, the goddess of death.
Yeah.
Which in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, Thanos falls in love with death. So a lot of people saying that what they're going to probably do is have Thanos in this storyline probably fall in love with her instead of the death character, because she's the Norse mythology's goddess of death. And I could be wrong. God, forgive me for people who know more about this. But the theory is, instead of bringing in a whole brand new character, letting her be the character that Thanos falls in love with and basically, for the lack of a better term, kills half the universe to impress her. He has the Infinity Gauntlet, and he goes, "What do I have to do to make you love me?" And he fucking uses the fucking Infinity Gauntlet and literally kills half the universe. So here we are. We're introducing this character now. They already introduced Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Thanos' daughter, which in the comic book she's actually his granddaughter. But they're starting to put all these elements where we can see when it comes together in Infinity War. You know what I'm saying? And she's smoking hot, she's powerful, she's death for lack of a better term. So it's going to be interesting. I'm very likely
very interesting.
We'll see her in Infinity War. And it looks good. And then, of course, the reveal, which we all knew was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Fucking Gladiator Hulk, Planet Hulk, badass, and then yes! He fucking screams. And that was it's so... And what I like about the movie is that even the trailer, it looks fun. It looks interesting, obviously action-packed. And of course, what I like is that it doesn't feel like this is going to be like a gap movie. This is this is the movie, we were contractually obligated to make a third Thor movie, so let's get it out of the way. The second one felt that way. The second one felt like, let's get this out of the way. This one looks good. It says Ragnarok. Technically, you kill off all the characters if you like, and then they can move Hela over into the universe of Infinity War.
I think that's going to do it.
Yeah, well, they announced that Josh Brolin is going to be playing Cable in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But that's weird because Josh Brolin also plays Thanos, so Thanos is Cable and Cable is Thanos.
It's stupid.
I don't know who, there's a million fucking
you did put it at the bottom there. I was wondering if you were going to say that.
Yeah, Thanos is Cable, Cable is Thanos. And
this next one is going to piss a bunch of Marvel fans off.
Well, then, okay, and so that's just news, and obviously people who listen to this podcast probably already know that. But so I might have mentioned this in the last episode, that Joss Whedon is leaving Marvel and he's going over to DC to direct the Batgirl movie. And then I thought it was kind of weird because technically Joss Whedon's production company, Mutant Enemy, produces Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
So there's a bit of a conflict of interest there. But that being said, I was reading an article and the people were speculating that maybe Joss Whedon, who's responsible for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dollhouse, Joss Whedon is known for writing all these strong, powerful female characters. And what happened with Marvel? Marvel never made a female-led movie. There's all this talk about Captain Marvel, which is still planned, but they never pushed through. And they had plenty of.
I think the plans for a Black Widow movie have been hurt because of Ghost in the Shell. But
they had plenty of opportunity, but they could have and they should have done a Black Widow movie. They never did it, and I think he felt sort of like here's because Avengers 2. Age of Ultron sucked, and I think maybe he felt, and of course he had a lot of notes from the studio, and he kind of was forced to do that movie, and he's forced to play with all these characters he didn't want to play with. But I think with that, I think he left Marvel because I mean, it was brought up to me, but I agree with that theory. I think he left Marvel because they never let him do a strong female-led movie. So
we'll see what happens. But
all right, so
maybe this is just a one-off thing too. I think that's what it is, but we'll see.
But, so let's wrap it up.
That's what she said.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net where you can find all things show related. First and foremost, you can find links to our iTunes page where you can download not every single episode, but ever since we switched our servers, the past 10, 15 episodes or so of Two Strangers One Podcast. If you don't have an iPhone, an iPad, or an iPod, you can download us on the Stitcher app for Android devices. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app. When you're like me and you're somewhere that doesn't, if you don't have Wi-Fi in your house, you can go somewhere that does have Wi-Fi, put on the listen later option and the available offline option, and download them when you're in the Wi-Fi, and then later on when you're out and about, listen to the episodes without killing your battery or killing your data. And of course, since we switched servers, we are now on the SoundCloud app, which you can download for iPhones and Android devices. You could also visit SoundCloud.com and get our episodes. The one thing I don't like is that SoundCloud, and maybe it's an Android restriction, because Paul loves his fucking iPhone.
That's right.
Is that SoundCloud won't let people...
It's so beautiful.
It won't let people download episodes onto your phone. You can listen to them. I think it's maybe you can on an iPhone, but on an Android device, it won't let you.
I don't know. Well, there's the SoundCloud app, so I mean
that's what I'm saying. From the app, it won't let you download from the app. And then when I try,
it allows you to download, but I don't know how that works. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think it might be one of those Android iPhone things, but from an Android, you can't download the episodes.
It might be that you can only download onto your computer, but I'm not sure.
You can listen to them, but you can't download them, which I want people to download. I mean,
and by the way, there is a SoundCloud app, so you can listen to this podcast on that SoundCloud.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but from the SoundCloud app, you can't download on your phone.
Oh, you'll be fine.
On a computer, yes. On your phone, no. Well, at least not your Android phone. But SoundCloud is our current server.
My phone is better.
If you want to write the show, and I checked the email before we did, Superfan Oscar did not write in. I do want to give a shout out to the guys from the Cinema Psyops podcast. A big shout out for his support, Chris Mounts, a loyal fan. For all the other people who listen to the podcast and don't necessarily interact with us, thank you for checking us out. But if you want to write us, like Oscar usually does and curses me out, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. You can, if you want to follow us on Facebook, we want your money. We need your money. But if you can't contribute a dime, share and like this episode on Facebook. Like our page. Just let your friends know about the show. Once again, it doesn't cost you anything to share us on your page.
Nope.
Then there is a Two Strangers One Podcast group. If you want to join, just look for Two Strangers One Podcast Network. It's a group, and I've been adding people, but mostly those are people that are people who've liked things that the page has done in the past. So I sort of brought them to the group so they can get updates. Like whenever we put up new episodes or the live stream like we're doing right now, it automatically goes there because for whatever reason, the Two Strangers One Podcast page, Facebook has those stupid algorithms that only let people see X amount of, only a percentage of your audience actually sees the posts you put out. If you do want to listen to all 5 years of Two Strangers One Podcast,
don't touch my phone.
You can. I didn't touch. I just zoomed in. You can go on YouTube, and here I am looking at the email for our podcast, and it's all the YouTube is not approved for monetization. Not approved for monetization. Well, hey, if you want to go back and listen to every single episode of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can find us on YouTube. Just search for Two Strangers One Podcast. I can't tell you to like the videos. I can't tell you to click on the ads before the videos, or click on the ads during the videos, or click on the ads after the videos. But if you do, it'd certainly be helpful. It's probably why they don't want us. Probably why none of these videos are being monetized. So once again, let me see. I can't think of anything else. You can follow us on Twitter at Stranger Podcast. That's basically just a retread of our iTunes. And I was putting out videos called Stranger Vlogs. Since I don't have Wi-Fi anymore, I haven't put one out in a while. But I do plan on.
You can do something. You can just come over one day.
And I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
About time. So you can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. You can find me Instagram.com/Paul Pasquillo. I've been noticing a lot of people adding me. It's probably the new website. You can ask me questions. It's ask.fm/Paul Pasquillo as well. And you can email me personally. It's paulpasquillo@toonamifaithful.com if you guys have any questions. Obviously, I am on another podcast, Toonami Faithful Podcast, so you can listen to me there. That is my baby, and it's been going since 2012, actually, too. Ironically. So, and yeah, you should check out the website. I just updated it. Spent a lot of money. ToonamiFaithful.com is brand new, and it looks nice. I still have some things to work out on it, but it should be good enough.
And
to
is
run.
that is my article going to that page, or is it going to the?
It will be on that page. I just gotta, like I said, I gotta put it up.
Checking out Toonami Faithful.
Oh, now check out because he's got an article coming. Oh.
And you can read my article about my review of Ghost in the Shell.
By the way, I did that because
as a person who's never seen the anime, or never seen the movie, seeing the live action movie from a perspective of someone who doesn't compare it to the anime.
Well, see, and then that's the problem. Like, I think the people that don't like it are people that are being very stringent about the movie. Like, oh well, it's not doing this, and this. So I wanted kind of an outside perspective to do a review because I think that makes more sense to me. Probably makes sense to everybody else too. Mm-hmm. I kind of did want to wait a little bit before we put one out because everybody was bitching about it so much.
And since then, I've actually watched the anime, and let me tell you, it at least for the visuals, it's been very loyal. I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, but then again, you've probably seen it now. But if you haven't, it's very loyal to the visuals. Even though I thought it was a little boring in the middle, but I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to save that for the
save it for the article. One other thing real quick, Nerdcore Absolution Volume 3 is out. It has been out. I'm going to shoot you next time you do that. And then there's also Deluxe Edition. It's Nerdcore Absolution Volume 3 Deluxe Edition. That one is pretty much complete. There may be another track. It's the first time I'm saying this. There might be another track. That's why I kind of haven't been advertising it just yet. But if you guys haven't listened to that, Bandcamp, it's geekyinkproductions.bandcamp.com. Go get both CDs now. I probably will be running a special here in May, so you guys can get them for cheaper. But yeah, you guys should definitely go get those because they're very good music. And I personally like this CD. It's probably not I would say this is the best one we've done, probably. So. And there's more Nerdcore to come, by the way, so pay attention. That's all I'm going to say. I can't say anything more because I'll get in trouble.
And stay tuned because maybe Paul will be going to New York Comic Con. Let's see what happens.
That'll be a story in itself.
Unless Paul says, Chris, fuck you, one of us has to go and it ain't going to be you. Then I'm
No. I think that if we say to New York Comic Con, look, this is a special year. Toonami's going. That's why we need a third guy. I don't think they'll have a problem.
Yeah, I don't think. No, I mean,
as long as it doesn't happen all the time.
Knock on wood. I don't think it'll be a big deal. But I'm
gonna get into the mix in New York Comic Con, and then I have to stay with Chris.
Yeah,
like that's gonna be like
Paul through Comic Con because Matt either goes to panels or hangs out in the press room all fucking day. So
I might get to see John Gallibo too.
Oh, John Gallibo, yeah.
Yes. So and then we could finally meet
mix and match, and
me and him can make out in front of Chris, make him jealous.
Oh boy.
And then maybe we can have a threesome. It'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've had a lot of fun with John Gallibo and Matt, and I'm saying
fucking cheating on me and shit. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And Matt Cartelli, my official Lucky Charm and photographer.
So we do have a lot coming. That's what she said. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to Geeky Inc. Stay tuned to ToonamiFaithful.com. By the way, thank you to all of you out there that have still been supporting GeekyInc.com because that site pretty much just is there. As long as I'm still making money off of CDs and that's pretty much funding that site, it will stay up. If that doesn't happen, well, it will come down immediately.
Gotcha.
Once everything is up. So that's pretty much where that site is at right now. So.
I mean, we've had a pretty steady stream of downloaders for this podcast, but I would do it if fucking 3 people downloaded it anyway because I need to get it out before I fucking kill again.
I'm sure you do need to get it out. You need to get it up, too.
Get the demons out of me.
All right. We got to get the fuck out of here.
So, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. And for 5 years now, you should be fapping.
My butt's cold.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne smells good to me.
But
Look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea, man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show. I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you, I'm out.